I have Mr. Swell on the line.
Okay, thanks, Alonzo. Hi, Keith. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How you doing?
Good. My name's Justin Kantor, and I'm writing for soulmusic.com. And it's a pleasure to speak with you after enjoying your music for quite a while now. So I guess we'll start with if you could tell me about the inspiration behind calling your new album Riding Solo and the concept of the song itself.
Well, basically, it's not really inspiration behind it. It's just, the title of one of the records on the album.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the album is, pretty much maybe my 10th album. Stop counting at this point. And pretty much just like what I do musically, it's time for a new CD. So,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been doing music all these years, it's not really, anything that transcends to me. What makes me do an album? It's in my blood. So, basically, I just try to put out something that's in my blood and something that I've done for years and years and years. And people wanted me to really put out a new album. People were ready for me to put out a new album. They felt like it was time. They wanted to hear something new from me. So basically, that's what I did for them.
Are you looking to gain new members to your audience with this, or are you mostly focusing on longtime fans with the album?
I'm not opposed to gaining new fans. I did that with all the albums, from doing LSG, rebranding myself with LSG, doing Twisted Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Bring other people in the game along with myself. So, I love the fact that I'm able to bring a new fan base and a younger fan base
Mm-hmm.
into what I've done, but also make sure that I keep the older fan base, or not older fan base, but the loyal followers that have been with me since the beginning of my career.
Mm-hmm. So, well, let's talk about a few of the songs on the album. First, you have obviously Test Drive with Joe, and I read that you guys have wanted to work together for quite some time. So what finally made that happen, and how did you decide on the song to do?
Well, basically, like I said, I reached out to Joe, and we had crossed paths quite a few times.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've always loved his voice. He always got that silky smooth voice.
Yeah.
He had a full woman following, and so do I. So it was only a matter of time before we did something together. We just had to find time on our busy schedule. He's busy, I'm busy.
Yeah.
People overseas play Joe. People overseas play Keith Sweat.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody pretty much know that, when we do a song together, or knew when we did a song together, that it was probably going to be a great song.
Mm-hmm.
What we did, made it happen. We made it happen. We put it all together, and now it's history. But Joe was one of the guys I just really wanted to work with. It wasn't a situation where it was going to ever be a problem in working with him, because he wanted to work with me. I wanted to work with him.
Okay, cool. And on Do Wrong Tonight, you worked with two other legends of modern R&B, Stephen Russell from Troop and Chucky Booker. So I was curious what brought about that collaboration, and what was the process like of recording that song?
Steve Russell came to my studio, and we did it from our studio. So, and me and Steve been friends since Troop days, the Troop days. That was like a little brother of mine.
Mm-hmm.
We've always been real close. Matter of fact, he's singing on the background merry-go-round.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I was going to ask you. I couldn't remember if he had sang on something of yours before.
Yeah. Steve is, like a little brother of mine. He sung on my second album. So
Okay.
we've gone back very far.
Yeah. So as a songwriter and artist who's been active through several periods of change in the music industry, I was curious, what do you see as advantages that artists and fans have now that we didn't have maybe, 10, 15 years ago, at the beginning of your career, or, even just a few years ago?
Well, you can hit more people if the internet was what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
came out, I probably would have sold 20 million albums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
it's a
because
lot
it is,
quicker.
because it's so, I mean, right now with the internet being what it is, you're able to be able to really go out there and do your own thing and pretty much put a ton of great music together and get it out there worldwide where people can listen to it. So it's not, you're not really dependent on the record company by themselves more so than anything.
Mm-hmm.
You do music and get it out there where there was a time where you wondered if the record company had all your music there where it needed to be.
Right.
So now you can tap into so many other markets and tap into so many other people where the music is concerned or where the record industry is concerned. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a good look.
Is there anything you think that's missing now that might have been different from when you started? Are there any parts musically or business-wise that you think are missing from today's market?
Well, I mean, nowadays, record companies are not making as much money, so they don't put as much money into it as marketing-wise because they're not seeing a whole lot of record sales because people are downloading more so than ever, and a lot of that. I think those are the things that's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Videos, all of those type of things that used to play a very important part in every artist's career that came out. A lot of the record company doesn't do that as much now because they're scared. I can't blame them because the record sales are so low and has taken a backwards turn.
Mm-hmm.
So I think out of the industry, that's what's missing: the support and the real marketing tool behind younger groups that are coming out who's trying to make a statement in the music career like when I came out. If it wasn't for the record company putting the money and the marketing and everything behind me, I don't think I would have had the good look that I had. Now
Mm-hmm.
that I'm out there for by the record company, you have to pretty much do it yourself. And you can do it on the website. You just have to draw traffic to your page or your website, your Facebook page, or whatever it is that you have out there, and let people know what you're capable of doing, and have people kind of chime into all of that. But because you got so many people doing it now,
Mm-hmm.
that it's so massive out there that I don't know. It's just that it might be a lot too much because it's very massive out there. There's a whole lot going on. So,
Yeah, well, one thing I always wonder about, because since most of the sales now are downloads from iTunes and so forth, but it seems like the profits would be much smaller just based on the fact that, you don't have to go buy a whole CD. You can just choose what song you want, and you're typically paying $1 or less for that. So
right.
does that change it for the artist in terms of like what you have to do to make money? Like, do you have to do more?
Right, it definitely changes. It definitely changes in terms of revenue because the album sales were the things that generated a lot of income. Now because the singles, I don't know how much they charge, 99 cents now.
Yeah.
That's just like, when people used to do 1-inch, 12-inch records.
Right.
12-inch. See, you didn't make any money. Now, where you make the money at is for the artist now, which is back to where it used to be, is they go on the road and make the money. If the record becomes very hot, now you able to go on the road, sing that song, and hopefully you can get more dates because of that. But in terms of looking at it in terms of, okay, well, I'm going to make a lot of money. No, it doesn't. It's not. It went back to the old days where you have a 12-inch CD. You didn't make a whole lot of money, but if the record was a good record or successful, you went on the road into it.
So, and when you were talking about some of those changes, like how the record companies used to do a lot of the marketing and, even when you mentioned things like 12-inch singles, what it made me think of was, I know when you first came out with Make It Last Forever, like it appeared that you had just come out of nowhere. But in fact, you had been working at your craft for a while, from what I understand, working by day in the stock exchange, and you wrote a lot of songs that you tried to pitch to companies, and you even cut a couple of your own independent records, like My Mind's Made Up and Lucky 7, for an independent label, Stadium Records out of New York. So I was just curious, like, what do you remember about those early experiences, of making those records as an independent artist? And